Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This will be the last of my remakes for old rankings and top 5s and 10s. And we're going to end it off with ranking the villains. We're only going to be ranking main villains. So villains such as Mr. E, Kozu, Cryptor, and Samukai will not be in this video. We're only talking about the main villain of each season or special. And those, of course, will be the 10 seasons, the pilots, and Dave the Departed will all be included in this. So yeah, there are 12 different characters who we're going to take a look at in this video. And let's get started with number 12. Starting it off, we have Yang, who could have been a great character, but really just wasn't. I thought his presence in Season 5 was really cool. He seemed very intimidating, and I liked that the first Airjitsu Master was actually going to be a villain, and that was pretty cool. Now, he was the one who turned Cole into a ghost, and his return later in the series was pretty much inevitable, but his return later in Day of the Departed was pretty bad, to say the least. He just, I think what they did was they tried to make us feel sorry for Yang, but we really didn't. I mean, he tried to gain immortality, and in turn, he was turned into a ghost. Yeah, I don't feel sorry for Yang at all. He's just a very weird character, and there's just not that much depth or emotion to him, and he's just not intimidating, so he's a very bland character. In 11th place, we have the Omega, who is the main villain of Season 10, and his problem is actually very different from Yang's. He actually has a great on-screen presence. I love the way how Omega looks. His design is stellar. The horns are great. He just looks great in the show, and he's very intimidating. I love when he's on screen. But the problem is he is severely underdeveloped, and for those reasons, he is that low on the list. I feel like there was just so much more to this character that we could have seen. He was very intimidating, and he looked like he could have had a great backstory. I think the, March of the Oni's short season length definitely hurt a lot of aspects of the season, and this was definitely one of them. I feel like Omega could have been a great character. He was very intimidating, and he was very cool as well. I loved his relationship with Garmadon, but in the end, it just didn't meet that mark. In 10th place, we have Iron Baron, and he suffers from problems that both Omega and Yang also do as well. First of which, he was underdeveloped, not severely maybe, but I mean, being in the same season with Garmadon, who was the other main villain for Hunted, he definitely was, he was given the short end of the stick, and this just didn't work in his favor at all. He could have had a lot more development, and in the end, his motives still remain very unclear, and we don't know why he wanted the dragon armor. I mean, just more power? He already controlled the realm. I mean, why would he need more power? Yeah, that was very unclear. The second part was that he just was, like Yang, he just kind of felt bland at the same time. He was just like some barren dictator guy who wanted power, and that ties hand in hand with underdevelopment. He could have used some more development. He had potential like Omega, and he was a very dark character, but in the end, he just kind of felt boring. Next up, we have Krux, who I can say with certainty is definitely the worst of the two time twins. I think it's definitely because he is just far more boring as a character when compared to Acronix, who I definitely like a lot more. Part of it is probably his voice acting, and sometimes he can kind of sound like Captain Obvious, and the other part of it is probably that he is an older character, and he definitely acts like that in the TV series. He can be very grouchy sometimes, and his voice acting certainly doesn't help with that. And at the same time, while he is the mastermind behind all the events that go on in Season 7, he just doesn't feel as dynamic or as engaging as a character. He just kind of lacks that depth. And while he is cool and definitely better than the past three characters who we talked about, I don't really think that he's that great of a villain. And again, with both of the time twins, their motives are just very unclear. They just think they're superior, and that is just a very boring story in general. And next we have the other time twin, Acronix, who is definitely the better of the two. He is just more dynamic as a character, and I do like his character. We are now making the jump from bad characters or mediocre characters to good characters for sure, and I do think that Acronix is better. Part of it, again, is that he is the younger of the two, and he's just more dynamic. His voice acting is better. And one thing that I love about his character is the contrast between him and Krux. How he is, addicted to technology. I thought that was a very charming little touch that was added to his character. And it was very well done. But at the same time, he's also pretty intimidating. And he's a good fighter as well. I definitely like his relationship with Wu. And the same could be said about Krux for sure. But I think out of the two time twins, he is just a lot more fun to see on screen. Rather than Krux, who is kind of boring and cranky at times. Next up, we have Pythor, who has been through quite a lot in the series run, being antagonists in both Seasons 1, Season 3, and Dave the Departed, while helping out the ninja in Season 4. And I think what's really cool about Pythor's character is how mischievous he is, and how charming yet cunning at the same time. He's just a really cool character, and he's very fun to see. He's a great planner, and he definitely is an evil mastermind sort of archetype, and I think that fits very well for him as the former Snake King and the prophesized one who would free the Devourer. He's a great antagonist in Season 1. He's very intimidating, and at the same time, I've already said this, but I really love his charm and how he's able to deceive Lloyd. He's great at this kind of stuff. He's very manipulative, and he's very smart at the same time, and I think that just made for a very cool antagonist in Pythor's character. In 6th place, we have the Overlord, who is the ultimate evil of Ninjago and has been in 2 seasons so far, those being Season 2 and Season 3. I really love all the Overlord's various designs, and he's been through many different designs throughout his 2 seasons. Of course, we have Possessed Garmadon, we have his dragon form, and we have the fabulous-looking Golden Master. But what I love about his character is how obsessed he is with destiny and prophecies. I think that's a very cool villain-like story, and I think his, dependence on those prophecies is really cool, and it built up a great character. Of course, we have the prophecy of the Golden Master, which he seeks to fulfill throughout Season 3, and eventually does, leading to a great showdown with Zane, and of course, the other prophecy to disrupt the balance, and that is carried out throughout Season 2. He has lost both times in a very unrealistic way to the ninja, but at the same time, I feel like the Overlord is very cool. He lacks emotion, but at the same time, he has a lot of depth to his character, and he really is the ultimate evil that Ninjago needs, and I would definitely love to see him back at some point. Next up, we have Master Chen, who was the main antagonist of Season 4 and returned back again in Day of the Departed. Chen is one of the reasons why I really do love Tournament of Elements. He's a very funny character and he has a lot of humor, very playful, but at the same time very cunning and very manipulative. And I think that is why his character is so amazing. He seems very stupid and, like a dumb person on the outside, but on the inside, he's a master at manipulation, he's a master at deception, and that is what led to an amazing villain. He also has a lot of history with Ninjago, being the instigator of the Serpentine War, and I really like that. I think it definitely speaks to his character, and was some great development for him, having him actually start the Serpentine War, really speaks to how great of a villain, and how much of a mastermind this guy really is. And his obsession with the Anaconda is also very cool as well, and I just love him throughout Season 4. His relationship with Garmadon is also pretty cool as well, and all in all, Chen is just a fabulous villain. In 4th place, we have Nadakhan the Jinn, the main villain of Skybound, and I gotta say, he is just such a unique character. It all starts with his voice actor, who is superb, and he just really is the perfect fit for Nadakhan. I also love Nadakhan's story throughout Ninjago, and he couldn't have fit Season 6's theme of the sky and the pirates better. He's a great incorporation of mythical elements and lore, and it just works so well with Ninjago. His design is also stellar, and I love the orange color, as well as the genie concept of him. He's very manipulative, just like Chen and Pythor, but even more so in a sense. And he's just very cunning, and he has such a great on-screen presence. He also has an amazing relationship with Jade throughout Season 6, both of them kind of trying to compete for Nia, and I think that is one of the reasons why I really love Season 6. It's because of Nadakhan. It's one of the big reasons why. He's just such an amazing character, and as well as a villain too. I mean, I think he would probably be my 11th favorite character in the show. But yeah, Nadakhan is just awesome. In 3rd place, we have Morro, the Ghost Ninja, who's the main villain of Possession, and thankfully returned in Day of the Departed to serve as an ally and assist the ninja. Morro's character immediately became a fan favorite, and he was the big cliffhanger at the end of Tournament of Elements. And I gotta say, Morro's character is just fabulous. I do like Harumi more as a villain, but it is, Morro is definitely the better character of the two. Morro is definitely a villain of emotion, and I think that is what definitely wins a lot of people over, including me for sure. He is the Green Ninja, and his relationship with Lloyd in that sense is really cool. You have the actual Green Ninja, and then you have the guy who is kind of supposed to be the Green Ninja. And that is really, really just super cool. I think what's great about Morro is that he's actually a great fighter as well, and he is just a great concept. But one of the best things about him is his conclusion, and how he kind of becomes an ally after his death. His death is just so heartfelt, and it's just an amazing scene that really leaves a lasting impact on the viewer. And of course, in the runner-up position, we have Harumi the Quiet One, who is the main villain of Season 8, and then later returned as a secondary villain in Season 9. You've heard me talk about Harumi's character before, and I will again explain why I love it so much. She is just a new approach to a villain, and that new approach is done really nicely. She's very sadistic, and she enjoys Lloyd's suffering, which is why I just love her as a villain. Again, she's an entirely different villain that we've never really seen done before in the series. And what I also like is they kept her story simple, which is really good. Not every villain should have a crazy complex story, and with Harumi, it's something that probably could have happened in real life as well, including her backstory up until her death. Many people complain about her death, but I actually think it's perfectly fine. Her death is definitely a great ending for a great character, and it's a nice touch that kind of, makes her a little bit more of a good guy, but at the same time, she's still pretty evil, and the parallel situation to her own childhood is done really well. And yeah, I mean, she is dead. There's no way she survived that. But yeah, I think her death is perfectly fine, and it is fitting of this character. She had a simple backstory, she had something that's kind of realistic, so it's only fitting that she does have a kind of realistic end. Her relationship with Lloyd is also something to talk about. It's a very complex relationship, originally starting out and seeming to be a good relationship, but what I think is great about Harumi is she's not just another female character who is, who's the love interest. She's a villain, and I think that's what's great. This is really the female antagonist that we really have needed, and it's taken us 8 seasons to get there. And I'm just really blown away by her character. She's just an amazing character, an amazing villain, and her relationship with Lloyd is something to marvel at. So, of course, being the huge Garmadon fanboy that I am, Garmadon is going to, by far, take the first place. He is the original antagonist of Ninjago, being there for the first 2 seasons, and of course the pilots. And, being so, he's gotten by far the most development out of any villain in the series. And that is because he's been around for so long. There are only about 2 or 3, if you count Possession, 2 or 3 seasons where he hasn't been present. And that means he's been present for pretty much every season, whether as a villain or an ally. He's been present for about, let's say, we have the pilots, the original 2 seasons, and of course the most recent 3 seasons where he is a villain. So that's 5 seasons as a villain. And what's very cool about him is there have been different sides of him as well. We have the Lord form, and I go into this in more depth in last week's face-off, or this week's face-off, but yeah, anyways, he has his Lord form, which is a much more emotional but evil form at the same time, and he's very ambitious in this form, but he doesn't really push it too far. And then we have the other evil form of him, the resurrected Emperor form, who really is the intimidating Garmadon we never saw. He's just such a great villain in this form. He's very intimidating, ripping Nindroids apart, threatening to rip apart Harumi, and nearly killing Lloyd at the same time. And that is just the Garmadon that I think a lot of fans really had been waiting to see from day one. He's just such a complex villain with a lot of backstory, and his connections to the main characters, most notably Wu and Lloyd, of course, are just astounding. So that's going to be it for the Ranking the Villains update. This is probably the last update video for old videos, and in the future we'll be leaning more towards top 5s, such as top 5 plot twists, top 5 secondary villains, and in the future, top 5 scenes from each season. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, share it with anyone, everyone you know, and I will see you next time.